I'm Ron Baker, Director of the Canadian Small Church Ministry Centre, and this is us, Canadian Small Churches in Action. And it's actually sponsored by a marvelous group called, I was going to let Ron Johnston just take it away and tell you, because he runs this Small Church Connections here in Canada, and well, actually it spreads around the world in a very real sense. But we're headed into a new day, a new age, with Small Church Connections and with some of the things that we're doing. And that's what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to let Ron Johnston, who is heading this up, start off with an initial thought. And then I've got a few questions for him, and we'll just go from there as to some of the new happenings that are coming your way.
Yeah, it's so good to be with you, Ron.
Yeah, it's good to be with you, Ron. I like this Ron thing. Yeah. Okay, I was going to say nothing Ron about that, but yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Ron Johnston, and I'm the Executive Director of Small Church Connections, which is a ministry serving small churches across this wonderful country that we live in. We have been in existence for a little over 10 years, and we've seen some really exciting things happen. I think the most exciting thing for me in the last while was the completion of what we've called the Significant Church project. And the final report of that was released on January 17th, a date I will have in my memory forever, I am sure. and so, when I read that report, and just if you haven't read it, you really need to you need to read it if you're in a small church. It's the result of about 3.5 years of research that was conducted by the Canadian Fellowship of Evangelicals, and two people that did the research there, and a lot of really excellent insights. What excited me about it is, well, two things I'll mention. One is that, to the best of my knowledge, it's the first project like this that has ever been done on small churches in Canada.
And I think that's right. Over the years, there's been mention of small churches, and even if we go back 100 years, I suppose we could find people talking about it. But this research was very specific, and the results were amazing. Okay, go on to point number 2. Yeah.
The second thing was that the research was done just with small church leaders. So this is the results of the project are small church leaders talking about what it's like to be in a small church context.
The experts talking about what they do. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So often, if you're like me, you probably have gotten frustrated a little bit at times with going to things, and the pastor, the speaker there is from a church that numbers in the thousands, and they don't necessarily relate to where you are as a leader in a small church. But this is all small church pastors, and so that was exciting to get that kind of input. But when I read the full report for the first time, I remember just having this very strong sense, like, we can't let this just go on. People read it, say it was really good, put it on the shelf, and let it collect dust.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen with too many things. And a few years ago, there was a real movement for churches to come up with vision statements and mission statements, and I saw so many cases of churches spending all kinds of time on those, and getting them passed by the church, and then
nothing happened.
Went on the shelf and never changed a thing.
Yeah.
And so just determined that this wouldn't happen to this and to this report, and so out of that, We are in the process of launching what we're calling the Canadian Small Church Network.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to consist of leaders in denominations, in academic institutions, in parachurch organizations, pastors in large churches, and then hopefully a lot of pastors
Yeah.
in leaders in small churches.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is for them to listen to each other. That
I
sounds
think,
simple.
yeah. I was thinking about this, having explored networks, particularly small church networks, and a number of, I would say, in the United States particularly, there are small church networks, but oftentimes it becomes just a gathering of small church pastors without the fingers going out to the academic or to other places, or an academic institution trying to get pastors involved. Whereas I kind of see where we want to head with this, and maybe where you can speak a little bit to this, is that the combining all of those groups and listening to each other.
For sure. And especially
Mm-hmm.
one of the statements that got made in this report that really struck me. Often small church pastors are described as being generalists,
Right. Yeah.
and there's a lot of truth in that. If you're the pastor in a small church, you do all kinds of things, sometimes from shoveling the walkway in the winter to who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
But they made the statement that the one thing that small church pastors are the experts when it comes to being leaders in a small church.
Yeah.
Because you're the ones who are out there in the trenches doing this 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. And so I'm convinced, and we're hoping the network will enable us to do this. I'm convinced that one of the things that needs to happen is that leaders in these other areas need a setting in which they can just hear from small church leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that is a problem within the church is that what happens far too often is that a leader who isn't in a small church, who's in a denomination or
Yeah.
whatever it might be, they decide how small churches should be,
Mm-hmm.
and then they set out to develop a program to take the small church, from where it is to where they think it should be.
Right.
And in the process, they never talk to small church leaders, the very people that they're supposed to be developing this for. And so we desperately need settings in which these other leaders can listen to small church leaders and learn from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that as a large reason for, or a large purpose for a network. I think you've sort of got 3 or 4 different foci that we're looking at, particularly with the network. Maybe you can just fill us in a little bit more on some of the other directions, the type of things that you're looking to happen through this network.
Some of the things that we'd love to see it eventually happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're just in the very early stages of thinking how we can do this, but we would love to see it be a network where small church pastors could just talk to other small church pastors.
Mm-hmm.
And we ran some retreats last year and for small church pastors and spouses, and we got feedback. And one of the things that a lot of them said was that they really appreciated just being in a setting where they could talk to other small church leaders, and especially even cross denominationally.
Yeah.
Where they could hear what's happening in other small churches, because there is there just is a connection there that is just automatic.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
when my children were teenagers and in their early 20s, that every once in a while they would run into we be meeting with another church pastoral family, and our kids and their kids, it was just like instant bond. Yeah, I know what it's like to be a
Yeah.
pastor. And we're hoping that happens with this, that there's just that bond between small church leaders. We, as I say, we hope that we can set up these discussion groups in a number of different areas where there's issues out there that are just unique to small churches.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to deal with some of those and set up a framework probably on Zoom, where we would bring in some people who are experienced in it, and just, for instance, one of the organizations that has been super supportive of
Mm-hmm.
us over the last few years is the Canadian Center for Christian Charities.
Yes, they've been very helpful. Yeah.
And we would set up a framework where one or two of them would come in and talk about what, as small churches, what do we need to know, government regulations, and that sort of thing, and where small church pastors could just interact with these people. So there's almost no limit as to what could take place on the network.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Now, the inauguration is coming up literally within days of this podcast, of us recording this podcast. What's happening? How can people get in on it? Yeah.
It's happening on Friday morning
Okay.
at 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So
Okay.
Ontario. And this is the launch of the network. We've been working like crazy to get it all on our website so that people can register for it and everything. And we are just very, very close to having that finished.
Excellent.
It'll be done on Friday, and so we would love it if you listen to this and would like to be a part of that on Friday. You can connect with me at Ron at smallchurchconnections.com, or just go on to our website, smallconnections.com, and it will have, you can connect through that, and I'll send you an invitation. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. So just in case somebody is listening to this 2 years down the road, the date actually is June 2nd, 2023, that this is going to be inaugurated. Yes. Yeah.
I can't believe I never said that.
It'll be great. Are you serving coffee and tea, or?
We have a whole table of goodies, and if you can reach across Zoom, you can help.
Oh, this will be great. Yeah.
Knowing you, Ron, you'll be trying.
I will. I just have to. It's just a little ways past. Oh, I wonder, as I think of a small church pastors network, in the long run. Let's put ourselves 5 years down the road. I'm looking for resources, and I want to go to a network. I want to find some people. What might this network provide for me? Just thinking 5 years down the road, I'm freshly out of education and training. What might I find on that network?
I'm not sure that would be on the network, but on our website, we have a resources area there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That we're adding stuff to, and one of our long range goals would be to bring Canadian resources into one central location.
Mhm.
where if someone were doing research, if someone were just wondering what is out there, they'd be able to go into that location and they'd be able to
Access that easily. Yeah.
access
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And the network itself will also provide, as you say, that sort of maybe even one-on-one or group on group type of
Yeah.
opportunity to chat. And I find with small church pastors that we just need to talk to somebody else, hear them, let them, explain a little bit of what they've gone through. And
One thing I should mention too, Ron, one of the things that has happened in the past is that a lot of organizations, denominations, and that churches, they've um, they've worked on some of this, but it's been the term that is bandied around quite a bit is that it's siloed.
mm,
This group here are doing their thing, and this group are doing their thing, and this group are doing their thing, and so we are encouraging people to look beyond that, and so if this group here over in one is planning something for small church, then they would let the whole network know,
mhm,
and they would support it and encourage people to be a part of it, and if this denomination over here developed a resource um specifically for their denomination, but it was really good, again, they would make that available across the
yeah.
network.
And I sense that is that they're very open to that. Groups have been open to that. I think the facilitating of that sort of many different groups talking to each other is what small church connections can do, particularly, and this network can do particularly.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I maybe should share this. We're asking people that join the network, we're asking them for four things.
Okay.
um, One is to contribute to the discussions between evangelical leaders and small church pastors.
Hmm.
And that doesn't mean that they would be involved in a discussion every other week or something, but we would let them know, and they would, where it fit their particular need, they would join into it. The second is that they would support programs designed specifically for small church,
Hmm.
whoever might sponsor them, so that we get beyond this silo
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Third, we're asking that they would provide financial support at whatever level they feel they could afford.
Hmm.
I pastored in small churches for about 40 years, and I'm totally aware of budgets in small churches that,
Oh, yes.
um, you know, I, uh, I attended a large megachurch for about 6 months one time,
Hmm.
and and they had a meeting while I was there, and they wanted to discuss something about the budget.
Hmm.
And so I got to the meeting, and they told us that they had, for the previous year, they had $125,000 surplus, and we're wondering what they should do with it. I sat there and thought, that's not even like that's more than the budget for
Budget.
most churches I
Exactly.
work with,
Yeah.
surplus. So we're not asking anyone to go beyond what they can afford, but it does cost money to do what we're doing. And then fourth, promote small churches in their sphere of
Yeah.
influence. Um, you know, Too often, a lot of people, the research project showed that there were a lot of pastors who felt that they really weren't respected,
Mm.
and and I would love to see that turn around.
Yeah.
Um, they people who are pastoring in small churches, They have the same education. They have the same call that God has placed on their lives. They have the same deep desire to serve people.
Yeah.
And they need to be respected for that. So we're hoping that will change.
I think that can change, and I would love to venture into a whole other tangent thing that sort of has been on my mind, is that one of the things that's happening in our country, and we are focused on Canada. There's no question about, a lot of what we're doing it's Canadian. We are also finding that the church itself in Canada is bombarded in many ways as not always liked by media, not always liked by governmental decrees. Small churches, I think, are going to be and will be the forefront, the vanguard of the church in this coming while. And I don't know if you want to comment a little bit on that, just the whole place of small churches being on the cusp of a lot of what's going to be happening in the future.
One of the things that characterizes, I should say, the main thing that characterizes small churches is relationships.
Yeah.
I've asked in many settings, what's the strength of a small church? And I always get the same answer. It's always relationships. And, I think so much, whether it's within the church or whether it's in the community, just at whatever level it is, what should come naturally to small churches is this building of relationships.
Yeah.
And especially, you mentioned the reputation that evangelical churches have. I would argue that it's a totally unfair perspective on it. Over the years, evangelical churches have made such a difference in society.
Yeah.
And have been the source of so much that's been good and positive and whatever. But within communities, that small church in a rural setting somewhere, small town setting somewhere, has an amazing opportunity to develop its own reputation within the community. Forget about what's on TV and whatever. It's got that opportunity to serve people and within that community, and to build relationships with people and whatever. And it's just interesting that what is so important today, like the days of one of the most exciting ministry experiences I ever had was back in the 1970s, being part of Billy Graham coming to Toronto, holding meetings there in Toronto. And I served as part of that, and thousands of people every night coming out to hear him. But that's past. That's gone. You would have a great deal of trouble in any city attracting thousands of people to come and hear an evangelical preacher. Relationships are everything when it comes to developing something within a community as well. And so what should just be natural to small church is the very center of how we can make a positive impact.
Yeah, I think within Canada, that is going to be a direction that we need to highly we need to highlight, I think, and just shine a lot of light on it. And I think this network will be one way that we can work at that, finding out who we are, hearing each other, listening to each other, and then using that those opportunities to reach out, as you said, and promote small church, and see where we can end up going with that.
Yeah. And as I say, it should be the natural way in which small churches act.
Yeah.
It isn't always, I'm sad to say.
I think both you and I have long histories in small churches, and know the good and the bad that can come from it. I would like to see us continue to highlight the good,
For
and
sure.
just find that. Yeah.
And I one of the things that bothers me a little bit is that there is this sort of feeling amongst evangelicals in Canada and the US now that we almost have to apologize for being evangelical.
Yeah.
And I look and say we have this amazing history. We've done so much good down through the years that we need to just simply be proud of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and learn our history and share it with people.
Yes, for sure. Well, unfortunately, history is just about done for this podcast. Our time is pretty well up, so I'm going to let you have one more. Just explain the inauguration, what's coming up, and then I'm going to have to say goodbye, and that'll be see you Friday, sort of thing.
Yeah, as I say, if you'd like to be a part of it, we'd sure love to have you. And just connect with me at ron@smallchurchconnections.com, and I'll make sure you get an invite to the launch. And but that's not the end of it. If you're interested and you can't come on Friday, by all means connect with us, and or go on our webpage at smallchurchconnections.com.
Mhm.
And come Friday, you'd actually be able to register for the network.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ron. Looking
My
forward to
pleasure.
this. All right.
Bye, Ron.
Bye.